The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly, dotted with stars and distant planets, but none of it drew as much attention today as the floating city of Viral Station. Orbiting a neutral planet in the Zynar sector, Viral Station was a hub for the galaxy's most daring traders, the most exotic technology, and, occasionally, the most dangerous secrets. Today, it hosted a rare spectacle, an intergalactic auction of extraordinary alien artifacts. In the massive central hall, alien species of every shape and size crowded the floating galleries. Tentacles waved, wings flapped, scales shimmered under the artificial lighting, and voices in hundreds of alien languages echoed against the metallic walls. At the center of the room, elevated on a luminous platform, floated the most anticipated item, a sleek, black alien ship with jagged edges and an eerie glow. It was known as the Dread Serpent, a ship whispered about across star systems, said to be cursed. Legends spoke of previous owners who vanished, entire crews lost without a trace, and fleets destroyed in moments of misfortune. Some claimed the ship could sense fear in its pilot, turning every hesitation into disaster. The rumors alone had alien bidders nervous, yet curiosity and greed drew them in. Amid the crowd, one figure stood apart. A human, Captain Marcus Kane. Marcus was not a young man. His hair was streaked with gray, and his face bore the faint scars of battles long past. But his eyes were sharp, alert, unyielding. Humans were not numerous in the galaxy, and most alien species underestimated them. Marcus had learned to use that to his advantage. He walked slowly through the crowd, observing the chaos with a veteran's calm. While others were caught up in panic, greed, or superstition, Marcus was calculating. He had heard the stories about the Dread Serpent. Most would have turned away, but Marcus did not fear curses. He had faced war, fire, and death countless times. What frightened him were limits, and he intended to test them. The auctioneer, a tall alien with crystalline skin, began the proceedings. His voice resonated unnaturally through the hall, amplified by alien technology. Ladies and gentlemen of the galaxy, behold the Dread Serpent, vessel of unknown origin and unparalleled danger. Some say it brings fortune, others claim it brings ruin. Tonight one of you will claim it. Who dares? Tentacles shot up, claws scratched, and glowing eyes glimmered. Bidding started at an absurd number of galactic credits. The aliens competed fiercely, whispering warnings and making cautious bids. Each rise in price seemed to excite the room even more. No one wanted to admit fear, but all were caught. The Dread Serpent sliced through the emptiness of space like a shadow. Stars streaked past in long lines as Marcus Kane guided the ship into the void of shadows, a sector notorious for strange phenomena, disappearing fleets, and lethal asteroid storms. Most pilots avoided it. Some said the cursed ship had been drawn here for a reason, others claimed it led the unwary to certain death. But Marcus had survived worse. War had taught him patience, instinct, and the ability to improvise. The AI's voice echoed in his mind. Pilot, caution, danger, extreme. Marcus smiled faintly. I don't do caution, he said. I do results. The ship shivered as it passed through a dense cluster of drifting debris. Metallic fragments spun slowly, remnants of destroyed ships long forgotten. Sensors screamed warnings, but Marcus didn't slow. He guided the Dread Serpent between massive chunks of wreckage, twisting, flipping, and sliding through impossible gaps. Every alien pilot who had attempted this sector had died. Marcus moved like a shadow among corpses, unafraid and precise. Hours passed and the ship's AI seemed to grow curious. Pilot, anomaly detected, potential threat, caution advised. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Potential threat, you haven't seen anything yet. Then the first real test arrived. A rogue asteroid storm, massive and unpredictable, barreled toward him. The Dread Serpent's sensors warned of collision after collision. Other pilots would have panicked, firing thrusters blindly or attempting to escape the storm entirely. Marcus did neither. He studied the pattern of the asteroids, noting their speed, trajectory, and density. Using his instincts and the ship's advanced maneuvering systems, he guided it with grace, almost dancing between the giant rocks. One glancing hit and the ship would have been shredded, but Marcus emerged on the other side unscathed. Impressive, the AI said, though its tone held what could almost be called surprise. Pilot efficiency unmatched, Marcus chuckled. You'll get used to it. It wasn't just natural hazards that tested him. Pirates had been tracking the dread serpent since it left the auction. Word spread quickly that a human had claimed the cursed ship, and many alien factions saw it as both a threat and an opportunity. A massive pirate fleet appeared on sensors, sleek and armed with devastating plasma cannons. Marcus watched them calmly. The fleet outnumbered him 10-1. Any normal pilot would have fled or surrendered. Marcus considered neither option. Let's show them a little human creativity, he muttered. The dread serpent moved like a living shadow, weaving through the fleet's formations. Marcus fired bursts of energy that didn't just hit, they disoriented the enemy's targeting systems. Explosions erupted around him, but the ship's hull held. The AI, which had once warned of doom at every minor system glitch, now began offering tactical suggestions. Pilot, unconventional tactics, high probability of success if followed. Marcus smirked. Told you. He executed a daring move, flying into the midst of the fleet, drawing their fire, and then using the ship's advanced cloaking and gravimetric displacement to vanish, leaving the pirates scrambling and attacking each other by accident. Within minutes, the fleet was scattered, some ships destroyed, others retreating in panic. Marcus emerged unscathed, the dread serpent unharmed and fully functional. Elsewhere in the galaxy, alien observers watched the event unfold. Reports came to auction houses, embassies, and war councils. Aliens whispered among themselves. No one should survive the dread serpent, one said, astonished. Yet the human, he bends the ship to his will. As the pirates fled, Marcus set a course deeper into uncharted territory. The void of shadows held even more dangers, including mysterious energy storms and sectors where navigation systems failed entirely. Yet Marcus thrived on challenges. Each obstacle was a puzzle, and he solved them with calm precision. Days passed, and the ship's AI began to change. No longer did it issue constant warnings. Instead, it offered observations, sometimes even compliments in its mechanical, alien voice. Pilot resourcefulness, remarkable. The next challenge came in the form of a mysterious alien entity, a massive creature that existed in the energy field of a nearby nebula. Ships had disappeared here before, swallowed or destroyed by the creature's psychic waves. Marcus did not hesitate. He engaged the dread serpent's shields and carefully adjusted the ship's energy frequencies to match the nebula's vibrations, something no other species had attempted. The creature approached, sensing the ship. Energy waves pulsed violently, shaking even the dread serpent. But Marcus remained focused. Using a series of calculated maneuvers, he threaded the ship through the creature's field, emerging intact on the other side. The AI finally spoke with something close to awe. Pilot, anomaly, survived, impossible. Marcus leaned back. I told you. Impossible is just a word. It wasn't just survival that impressed him, it was adaptability. Humans could improvise, make quick decisions, and take risks that no alien species would dare. The dread serpent, once feared as a cursed weapon, was now a proving ground for human ingenuity. But his greatest test was yet to come. A signal reached him, a distress call from a human colony far beyond charted space. Pirates and hostile species were attacking. Thousands of civilians were trapped. Any rational pilot would hesitate, considering the risk of flying into such a trap. Marcus did not. He set a course without delay. On the way, the dread serpent faced ambushes, pirate mines, and treacherous gravitational anomalies. Each time Marcus found a way through. Sometimes it was pure instinct, sometimes it was mechanical genius. The ship, which had seemed cursed, responded perfectly to his commands. Where others would have died, Marcus adapted. Where others would have panicked, he remained calm. Aliens monitoring his progress were astonished. Communications from various embassies filled with incredulity. The human, he survived asteroid storms, pirate fleets, and energy creatures. And now he is flying into a colony under siege. No calculation could explain it. Only humans do this. When Marcus finally approached the colony, the scale of the threat became clear. Alien raiders had surrounded the settlement. Ships hovered in orbit, weapons charging. Ground forces had begun attacking defenseless buildings. Most pilots would have retreated, but Marcus did not even hesitate. He activated the Dread Serpent's full combat systems. Energy shields flared, thrusters burned brightly, and weapons systems charged. The cursed ship, once a harbinger of doom, now became a weapon of precision and efficiency. Marcus's tactics were unpredictable. He struck where the aliens did not expect, drew fire away from the colony, and forced the raiders to scatter. Within hours, the threat was neutralized. Aliens watching from afar were stunned. The human had not just survived the curse, he had mastered it, turning what should have been a liability into an advantage. On the colony's surface, survivors cheered. Humans had arrived with a single ship, but with courage and ingenuity, they had defeated overwhelming odds. Marcus landed, helping coordinate aid, distributing resources, and ensuring every civilian was safe. The Dread Serpent hovered above, its hull glowing faintly, almost as if proud of its new master. Back in orbit, alien observers continued to speculate. "This human, he is more than a pilot," one said quietly. "He is exceptional, perhaps even superior." The legend of the cursed ship had changed. No longer was it a story of doom. Now it was a testament to human capability, bravery, and creativity. And Marcus Kane, veteran of countless battles, smiled quietly to himself. The curse had been tested, and humanity had prevailed. For Marcus, it was simple. A human survives, adapts, and overcomes. Always. And somewhere, deep in the AI's circuits, the Dread Serpent seemed to agree. Marcus Kane hovered above the besieged human colony, the Dread Serpent gleaming under the light of the distant sun. Thousands of lives depended on his next moves. The raiding alien coalition had been systematic, ruthless, and heavily armed. Their ships blocked escape routes, their ground forces began tearing into defenseless structures, and panic had spread among the colonists. Marcus didn't flinch. He had faced impossible odds before. He had mastered a ship that had killed every pilot who came near it. And now the final test awaited. "Dread Serpent, let's show them the human way," he muttered. The AI, once cautious and skeptical, now responded with efficiency and quiet approval. "Pilot preparing for engagement, probability of success, high under command." Marcus smiled faintly. "Good, let's make history." The first move was precision. He descended slowly into orbit, using the ship's shields to absorb incoming fire. Alien weapons hit the hull, but Marcus had learned the Dread Serpent's weaknesses and strengths. Thrusters ignited, weaving the ship between enemy blasts, and for every attack he delivered a calculated counterstrike. Energy beams ripped through raider ships, targeting engines, communication arrays, and weapon systems. Chaos erupted among the aliens as their formations collapsed. On the colony's surface, humans stared in awe. They had heard legends of the Dread Serpent, but seeing it in action, piloted by a human, was beyond comprehension. Marcus' movements were deliberate, almost like a deadly dance. He was not reckless. Every maneuver had a purpose, every strike a result. The Raider commander, a massive, armored alien with tentacles bristling with sensors, snarled in frustration. How can one ship, one pilot, destroy entire squads? Meanwhile, Marcus deployed the ship's secondary systems. Automated drones launched silently, creating defensive barriers and evacuating civilians from the most dangerous zones. Marcus coordinated every move, relying on both his instincts and the ship's AI. Where other pilots would panic, he remained calm, turning the Dread Serpent's curse into a lethal advantage. Hours passed. The alien coalition adapted, sending wave after wave to overwhelm the human pilot. Yet Marcus adapted faster. He modified the ship mid-battle, rerouting power to shields in one moment and weapons in the next, using the environment itself, asteroid debris, energy storms, and even abandoned structures, to trap enemy ships. Every attack that should have killed him became an opportunity. Observers from distant star systems watched in shock. Alien councils, embassies, and war guilds transmitted data back and forth, trying to understand the human. No alien could survive this, one official said. Yet the human, he turns death into a strategy. The Dread Serpent, once feared as a cursed vessel, responded perfectly. Its systems adapted as if it had finally found a worthy master. The Raider commander launched a final assault, sending his largest ships directly toward the colony. Marcus assessed the risk. Conventional tactics would fail. Retreat was impossible. Surrender unthinkable. He grinned. Time for plan human. With precise timing, he lured the Raider ships into a trap using the Dread Serpent's unique energy displacement system. The ships collided with debris with each other, and even with the energy barriers Marcus had set up. Explosions rocked the battlefield, but not a single human life was lost. He pushed further, disabling enemy ground units with carefully targeted plasma bursts that avoided civilian structures. Within hours, the alien coalition was in full retreat. Marcus' feat became legendary. Aliens who had doubted humans now whispered with awe. They survive when no other species would. Exhausted but alert, he helped coordinate rescue and relief. Civilians thanked him endlessly, offering supplies, gifts, and tears of gratitude. But Marcus knew the real reward was not recognition. It was proving that humans, when faced with impossible odds, could adapt, survive, and succeed where others failed. Back in orbit, alien observers remained frozen in disbelief. Data streams showed every move, every calculated strike, every life saved. Their conclusion was unanimous. The human had turned the legendary cursed ship into a tool of hope and victory. Meanwhile, the Dread Serpent seemed almost alive in approval. Lights pulsed along the hull, responding to Marcus' presence. Where it had once warned of doom, it now responded to his commands with unwavering loyalty. Marcus allowed himself a rare smile. You see, impossible is just a story people tell themselves to avoid trying. Word of Marcus Kane and the Dread Serpent spread quickly. Across multiple sectors, humans were suddenly viewed in a new light, not as primitive survivors, but as a species capable of courage, ingenuity, and strategic brilliance. The auction house that had sold the cursed ship was now abuzz with speculation. Who is this human? Aliens asked each other. What else can they do? He had a new course plotted, a new mission waiting beyond the stars. For him, the lesson was simple. Humans survive, adapt, and excel. And sometimes they do it in ways that leave every other species shocked. As the Dread Serpent lifted back into orbit, Marcus looked down at the colony one last time. Lives had been saved, fear had been turned into triumph, and the curse that had haunted the ship for decades had been conquered. The human pilot had paid a high price at the auction, yes, resources, reputation, effort, but the result was beyond value. Respect, awe, and proof that humanity could face the impossible. That in itself was a price worth paying. Somewhere in the watching galaxies, aliens would never forget this day. Humanity, small but fearless, had made its mark. Marcus Kane smiled faintly, hands on the controls, eyes on the stars. The Dread Serpent hummed beneath him. Together, human and ship, they were ready for the next impossible challenge. For Marcus, it was simple. The curse was never a curse. It was a test, and humans always pass those. Marcus leaned against the railing, his fingers brushing a small metal token. It was an old human artifact, a reminder of his service, a symbol of his resolve. He did not rush. He did not panic. He simply waited, listening to the alien chatter, watching their nervous energy and analyzing their strategy. The bidding grew frantic. One alien with translucent skin and 3 sets of eyes shouted a bid in a language Marcus barely recognized. Another, a large crustacean-like species, countered. Soon, the price reached levels that would bankrupt an entire colony. Whispers of the ship's curse grew louder. And then Marcus stepped forward. His voice was calm, steady, and it cut through the chaos. "I bid 30% more than the last offer," he said, placing a rare resource token on the bidding panel. A hush fell over the room. Every alien bidder froze, 30% over. Such a jump was reckless, insane, or both. The auctioneer hesitated, scanning the crowd for objections. There were none. Marcus' bid stood. The alien crowd muttered, confused. Many whispered, "Humans are strange. No one is brave enough or stupid enough to do this." But Marcus ignored them. He had not come for fear or superstition. He had come for the ship. The bidding continued, but no one could match him. With a final glance, Marcus raised his bid again, this time in a combination of credits, rare minerals, and even his personal reputation, something that mattered to humans more than currency in these alien markets. The auctioneer hesitated, clearly uneasy, and then finally gave a mechanical nod. "It is sold," he announced. To the human Marcus Kane. The room erupted in whispers and stunned gasps. Many aliens had not expected a human to pay such a price, not for a cursed ship. Some speculated it was madness. Others, deeper thinkers, began to wonder about the nature of humans. Marcus stepped onto the platform. The dread serpent floated silently, its black hull shimmering, almost as if alive. Its AI system, semi-sentient and designed to warn pilots of danger, activated immediately. A cold, mechanical voice echoed in Marcus' mind. "Pilot, unworthy, danger, imminent." Marcus smiled. He had faced danger far worse than a talking ship warning him of doom. "Relax," he said aloud. "I've survived worse than you." As the ship systems came online, lights flickered, engines hummed, and a faint vibration pulsed through the platform. Marcus ran his hands over the controls, checking, testing, feeling the ship's responses. It was alive in a way few ships were. Alive and dangerous. The aliens continued to watch, mouths agape, as Marcus calmly disengaged the ship from its platform. Slowly, it hovered before him, waiting for his command. No one had dared to touch it before, fearing the curse, but here was a human treating it as a tool, a weapon, a companion. He boarded fully, settling into the pilot's seat. Systems responded instantly, almost as if the ship recognized his courage. The crowd grew silent. Aliens whispered nervously among themselves. "The human he does not fear," muttered one. "Maybe the curse only targets the weak," said another. Marcus plotted a course. He was heading into the deadliest sector, the void of shadows, where entire fleets had disappeared without a trace. The ship's AI hissed warnings, but Marcus remained unfazed. "Let's see what you're made of," he said softly. "I've fought worse than storms and curses." With a low hum, the dread serpent shot forward, faster than most expected. It cut through the station's orbit, leaving the stunned crowd behind. Aliens gawked as the human vanished into deep space, taking the cursed ship with him. On the observation decks, whispers spread quickly. Humans, it seemed, were not just survivors. They were risk-takers, unafraid of what terrified others, perhaps even more dangerous than the so-called curse itself. Marcus leaned back in the pilot's seat, studying the stars. Adventure awaited, danger was inevitable, but he had a ship built for the impossible, and he was ready. Somewhere in the galaxy, the cursed dread serpent had found a new master, and for the first time in decades, it would meet someone who would challenge it and perhaps survive. And Marcus Kane, human veteran of countless battles, smiled. This was only the beginning.